Indian Achievers Forum is driven by a full-fledged advisory board. The board consists of experienced personalities who have excelled in their respective careers. Together, the forum organizes conferences, events, workshops, exhibitions, trade shows, and B2B initiatives in India as well as abroad. Where there is passion, there is achievement. And where there is achievement, there is Indian Achievers Forum.
Hello everyone, my name is Varsha Sharma and I'm your host for the day. So before we, start with the discussion on the topic G20 and Indian economy, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all for the session on behalf of whole team of Indian Achievers Forum. So thank you so very much for finding the time and visiting the webinar today. So let me quickly give you a brief about this virtual meet first. The key areas to be focused today will be what has the Indian economy gained out of G20 presidency? How should India use the G20 presidency towards becoming a superpower? What India as a country shall have achieved by the end of G20 presidency? So before we begin, let me introduce you all first. So we have been joined in by Mr. Harish Chandra, who is the president of Indian Achievers Forum, Mr. Sudipta Narayan Roy, who is the chairman of National Ayush Task Force, SHM, member, National Managing Committee, SHM, Board of Governors, Brainware University, and MD and CEO of Powell Group's companies, Ms. Veena Upadhyay, who is the founder, secretary, and chief executive of Srijani Foundation, Ms. Brindarika Bose, who is a renowned artist, Dr. Debashish Roy, who is the senior director at Accenture, and Mr. Sandeep Dinodia, who is the chief technology and product officer of Amazon. So, firstly, I would like Mr. Harish Chandra to please put forward his thoughts and views.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, how's everything? So, am I audible to you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, first of all, again, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar, and thank you very much for joining. And I have read and heard about all of you, but this is the first time where we are interacting, personally, virtually, in fact. So, good to see all of you. So, as everybody knows that India assumes the G20 presidency from Indonesia, and G20 is a premium forum of international economic development and corporations. So it's a very important for India to host this G20 presidency, and during this G20 programs, India will host over 200 meetings in over 50 cities across 32 different work streams. And some of the main topic for this G20, as that health, education, trade, infrastructure, and tourism is there. And yes, obviously, the all the topics are in and around the United Nations G20, SDG goals. So I've been attending many programs of Government of India and the other Chamber of Commerces and the agencies. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity for India to leverage this opportunity, where uh, we can show our potential to the world leaders and the investors, because during these programs, so many people from across the globe is visiting India, and they are exploring the business opportunities, and they are understanding the Indian culture and Indian heritage. And I think our great Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has very, and his team is very comfortably managing this entire G20 summit. And I think this is a very good win-win situation for Indian entrepreneurs, Indian businessmen, and for the global investors as well. So we Indian Achievers Forum is also hosting a series of G20 programs virtually and the ground. And this is our second webinar on this G20. And very soon we will be doing a ground event for this G20, where we will be inviting all the stakeholders, government officials, and other foreign agencies, where we can share the knowledge, and we can talk about more the G20. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity. And here we are basically focusing on the how this G20 is going to benefit for the Indian economy. So most of you are from the economic and the trade sectors. So we will love to hear about your opinion about the G20, that how you think that India can leverage this opportunity to promote our position at a global map. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So now I come to Mr. Sudipta Narayan Roy. Please to put forward your thoughts and views on the topic G20 and Indian economy.
Respected dignitaries and respected Harish ji, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I will just generalize few points in which the three questions which Varsha has given me to elaborate. I would just be very short and brief that has the Indian economy gained out of G20 presidency. India's G20 presidency's offers are, if we can see, we can just generalize in just five main points. That is, one is the global leadership and influence. India can shape global economic discussion and showcase its priority and perspectives. That's the main thing which we can start with. Then we can enhance diplomacy, engagement with the world leaders and organizations, strengthens alliances, and expand diplomatic networks. We know that the current scenario of the world is so volatile. There is a war going on, and there is a border dispute with many states in Asia. So, in this case, this presidency would definitely give us a vantage point. The third point would be economic collaboration, opportunities to foster trade, investment, technology transfer, and financial cooperation and among the major economies. So now we can see that post-COVID and this since this war is going on, the economy is a little bit in a volatile situation. So there are in many states, rather many countries like in Europe and in USA, we are seeing economic slowdown. So India can also, being the largest market and being an open economy, can give a quite big leverage to the international trade. The fourth point would be policy reforms and best practices. India can showcase its reform and successes, inspiring other countries and contributing to the global economic policies, like that of digital India mission. How we have seen that post demonetization, how a digital the transaction through this UPI increase, that was the biggest example. And there are a lot of case studies going on, and India can showcase these things to the other countries. And the vaccine, we have done such a good thing during this COVID period. The way we distributed the vaccine, the way we vaccinated the whole country is an enormous task, and it's an example and a case study for other countries. And the fifth point would be investment and business opportunities. In increased international attention and visibility as an investment destination, facilitating network and collaboration. We can see that India has already become a desired place for foreign direct investments. So in many cases, we have seen in many sectors that India is being liberalizing their the foreign direct investment policies. I belong to Ayush sector. India has already made FDI 100% can be 100% FDI can be done to this sector. So there are a lot of things India can showcase and that can draw international attentions. As being the chairman of ASSOCHAM and being the national one of the member of the national managing committee, I am being having lot of queries are coming how to invest in India, in which sector we are going to invest, and you would be astonished to see that the Western countries' preferred destination has been now India. So it's a thing which India can also benefit from this increased international attention for this G20 presidency. Now to the second question, how should India use the G20 presidency towards becoming a superpower? To utilize G20's presidency towards becoming a superpower, India can focus on strategies like economic reforms and collaborations. There are just 7 points, just I will just glide through. That is economic reforms and collaboration. To promote economic growth, attract investment, and foster collaborations with other major economies. This is the first point. Second is the infrastructure development. Prioritize infrastructure projects to enhance connectivity and economic competitiveness. We know that a lot of there is a Sagarmala project going on. There is the Kolkata Seaway corridor going on. Then the Chabahar port. We are doing a lot of work. There is a new port being built up in Chittagong. So these things would be showcased so that the Indo-ASEAN and the Indo-CIS business that would be enhanced, and that would be these things would be showcased in this international attention in this G20 presidency. Then comes the innovation and technology. Strengthen technological capabilities through research, development, and innovation. India is a startup hub. We can see that digital India, how India is performing. So this innovation and technology, now India is going to be a hub where others are going to come down to India. As there was a tradition of brain drain from India for the last 2 decades, but we are seeing that now it's reversing. India is being the destination for innovation and technology. Then the fourth point would be diplomatic engagements. Enhance diplomatic relationship with major powers to increase geopolitical influence. We can see how India geopolitically, how India is coming up, and we are already in a spot where we are now no more a nation who would be regarded as a third world, no more a nation who would be regarded as a tolerant to any bully by any big superpower. We are the one we can now call a spade a spade. We have seen our rock star foreign minister, how he is giving the interviews in the West. So that's a in our presidency, that's something which is making us more into limelight, and that's going to definitely gain us for the future. Then the fifth point, which is a major point, that is sustainable development and climatic action. So climate action. So India is championing in sustainable development and climate initiatives to boost international standing. Last year in our annual meeting, last financial year in the month of March, the Honorable Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, he came to our program in ASSOCHAM, and he was mentioning how India is going to be the front runner in EV and in hydrogen vehicle. So in hydrogen vehicle, India is going to be way ahead than others and would be reducing the carbon footprint in the world. And Sixth point would be regional cooperation, fostering regional cooperation to establish influence in the neighborhood. We can see the political scenario in Sri Lanka and in Pakistan, what's happening, and in how India is coming up as a superpower in this region and would be the most dominant power. And one day, India is again going to be the place we all cherish for, where the trade boundaries which we are suffering, our western side, and in the eastern side we have little bit managed the eastern side, but the western side we are still struggling. So one day we would again open our trade relationships with CIS and ASEAN, the free trade zone, then things would be completely different. Seventh is another important point, that is the strength of defense capabilities. Invest in defense and modernization to enhance military capabilities. India is going to definitely be in a position in this presidency where India can benefit from this. And what the third question she was mentioning, what India as a country shall have achieved by the end of its G20 presidency. In 6 points, I can just mention this. I know time is very short, so I will just read out the 6 points which I have written. That's advancing in national interest by shaping the G20 agenda. Second would be seeking global recognition and influence through engagement with world leaders. Third, promoting economic growth, trade, investment, and collaboration among G20 members, advocating for priorities like infrastructure, innovation, sustainability, and digital transformation. Fifth would be showcasing policy reforms, economic achievements, and best practices. Sixth would be strengthening diplomatic relation and expanding the diplomatic network. Dignitaries present here today, I would also request all of you that be vocal about this G20 presidency in whatever form you can do in your respective sphere. Uh, there are many parallel G20 summits are going on. That is B20, that is Business 20, W20 for Woman 20, and the Y20. Y20 is the for the youth. Please, all of you are from a very dignified background, and your achievements should be showcased to this youth of India, so that the millennials who would be the future of India should be inspired by you. So by any form, by any means, please try to participate in the Y20 summits. I would request Mr. Harish Chandra to arrange this kind of collaborative works, where from ASOCHAM I can also be a part of your initiatives, so that the youth, that is the millennials, the 19 to 24, this age group, they would be the front runner. They would be running the country when India would be at its glory. So please engage with them. Please allow these dignitaries to inspire them through your platform. This would be my humble request to Mr. Harish Chandra and to Indian Achievers Forum. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sudipta.
All right, so now coming to Ms. Veena Upadhyay, I request you, ma'am, to please enlighten us with your opinion on how you think that this has impacted the Indian economy.
Namaskar to everybody. Uh, I have been working in the handloom sector with handcraft especially. So whatever I say would take this into consideration, my current backdrop since 2006. Um, in my opinion, I've been listening to Harish ji and Sudipta ji, both of them, and I feel and there are certain catchwords that both of you have been that you have spoken, and which have a direct reflection impact on the sector that I am currently working with. In my opinion, we take tourism, or we take economic boost, or we take economic growth, or we take just who we are as Indians. So the central theme of G20 presidency of India, which is Vasudev Kutumbakam, I find this extremely inclusive and decisive. And the fact that it's spread over 50 cities or 60, please correct me if I'm wrong, and it's not limited to mega metros, is in itself a great recognition and recognition of who we are. Not just that we welcome everybody, whoever comes to us, but in welcoming everybody, we've also found a great opportunity to showcase to the 2/3 of the world populace, I think, who is participating, to know what can we do. Not just in what we can give to them in their lunches, dinners, but the artifacts, what our capable fingers are capable of not just what our mind works on, but we as people, what we are capable of. So I really feel that this Vasudev Kutumbakam is more of a people's-led G20 summit. And in this, I find a great opportunity in all the sectors. Of course, my previous background was I was a brand strategist with FMCGs in the corporate world. But since 2006, I've been working in the social sector. So I shall concentrate on the social sector only. And the fact that we are looking at not just climate change, we're looking at climate financing, we're looking at equitable distribution, social welfare, etc., etc. But we're looking at more women-led voices. We're looking at more women-centric interventions. And this, for me, the Vasudev Kutumbakam and women's-led voices, women. I'm not being a feminist when I speak about this, but I'm just talking about, when I was studying management, we were taught about if you have a need area, if you have a gap, how do you fill that gap? And how do you then build your product to cater to that gap? And that's how the brand is built and the brand equity, etc. So when I look at this women's participation, focus on women's participation, more of women's voices, and the greatest thing that I and people like me and everybody here looks at, Make in India brand, which when digitally empowered with the right technological innovation, to me is a great formula to boost Indian economy, especially when we're looking at and to boost greater trade between the various countries who are participating. Because let's admit, we and everybody knows it's a turbulent world that we witness and we're experiencing, whether it's post-pandemic COVID-19 or it's the Russia-Ukraine war. So there are a whole lot of stiff areas, and there is a lot of drift away from SDGs. So when we're looking at a more active participation, because I remember in Kumarakom, please correct me if I'm wrong in pronouncing that word, in Kerala, when we had the G20 summit, it was a great pleasure to see that the interiors were made with bamboos. And bamboo is what grows in Kerala. So what were you doing? You were not just welcoming everybody with your heart under Vasudev Kutumbakam, you were generating a great boost to the tourism of India, but you were acknowledging the hands that make in India. And I'm sure in all the cities, wherever we have gone or we will be going now, it's Kashmir the next. I think everywhere the artifacts is what will come up, and which is really going to boost Make in India. Because I remember before this 2014-15, when I was working in the villages and interacting with women who were not, needless to say, not allowed to go outside, even go outside the houses. They had a lot of free time, because if you're looking at Bihar, and for me, Bihar was a new state because I don't belong to the state. So I realized that they don't have, you see, the plot size of agriculture is also very small. And they don't have cattle. So they are always working for somebody else. And they had about 3 to 4 hours where they had nothing to do. So every time I spoke with them, there was always an innate desire that babuni kuch kaam karna hai, kuch kaam karne ke liye thoda bhi paisa kamana hai, kuch, they call lovingly a girl or a woman as babuni in Bihar. So when I was presenting, making this business plan for Tata Trust, because we got the grant aid from Tata Trust, I wrote all this, and I wrote the voices of women that I experienced. And so we started with a lot of development, and there are a lot of very successful case studies. And I say this with humility because the entire team worked at it, and very grateful to Tata Trust. And so this is a very small exercise that we did. And if we replicate this, and if the government of India and the visiting countries, I'm sure whether you're looking at Sri Lanka, you're looking at Indonesia, you're looking at any of these developing or the developed countries, even the US, whoever has come to us. I remember there was a time when a lot of things were getting made. I'm talking about textiles only. When a lot of labor, because labor is cheap here, and then it shifted to Sri Lanka, shifted to Bangladesh. And I realized that whenever we went to some place and we said, oh, it's getting made in Bangladesh. I'm talking about only textiles for now, looking at handlooms. So if all this comes to us, for example, one of the case study that we did, it's a case study that we were able to revive handlooms after 1979 in 2014. And the males had migrated to Gulf countries, whoever was physically abled. This is a village called Jamal Hata in Siwan district of Bihar, where they are not statistically proved, but the elders say there are about 1,000 homes of Ansaris who are traditional weavers. Now, these men, whoever was physically able has gone to Gulf countries. And so what do you have? You have fragmented families. And when I was able to, this was a personal initiative, and with all humility and I think God's grace, that when I was able to revive this and link this up with Delhi public school uniforms, this became a thriving platform for people not to just get back to their native village, to their native country, but for a lot of them to get this work. And I think if this interaction happens, you have these countries coming up and everybody's here, and Make in India gets boosted. Who is making in India? It's also getting made in the villages of India, right? And who's getting this empowerment? Everybody, not just the women, the men, the women, everybody. And I think, to me, this is the biggest boost. Not just women's. For me, yes, being a woman, for me, the women's voices and the women's led participation is most important, not because of feminism or anything else, but it's time that they were also given an opportunity. But the fact that if I just concentrate on Make in India and I don't look at climate change, I don't look at climate financing, I don't look at anything else, but I just look at this SDG and we work on it, which is the focus, not just under SDG, but also under G20 presidency of India. I find this a great formula for a well boosted Indian economy. I can go on, but I think, do you want me to go on, or do you want somebody else to talk about it? Varsha?
Okay, let's just come to Ms. Brindarika Bose, ma'am, and then later on, when we'll have the
Yes.
other opinions, we'll take you once again. So, Ms. Brindarika, please.
Thank you. So first, I would like to thank Mr. Harish Chandra for giving us this platform. Thank you, Varsha, for coordinating. And it's really wonderful listening to all of you, because when I'm listening to you, I'm also nodding my head constantly, Mrs. Upadhyay, when I was listening to your talk also. And what Dr. Sudipta mentioned about G20 and how we should utilize this platform and forum to bring awareness. Now, a little bit about myself. I'm Brindarika Bose, as Varsha mentioned. I live in Switzerland, and I am an artist, but I'm also a publisher. And I strongly believe that to bring a change, you have to be the change yourself. And when I say that, the G20 talks a lot about international collaboration. It talks a lot about the culture forum. We have the women's empowerment and so on. What with we, I mean, we are 45 women I will just quickly mention we have a publishing house called Most Creative Publishers and She Writers Group. We have 45 women from all over the world, from 11 countries. And we bring these stories, exactly the stories that you're mentioning from Bihar, for example, Mrs. Upadhyay. We had a book which was called She Shines. I have all my books here. We started writing stories based on all these voices, those who do not have the platform or the chance to talk about their stories or what's happening in their life. And we started publishing these books called She Celebrates, She Seeks, is the last one. So we pick up, we are our collaborators, our writers, they are people like you and me, not really professional writers per se, but those who have a strong voice or those who have a story to tell. And for the last 5 years, we have been the change by, in the sense by we have been making our readers aware of different uh, gender equality, or talking about the nuances, the subtle things. During the pandemic also we observed a lot of power shift happening, a lot of opportunities which were not equally shared amongst men and women and different sectors of the society. So yes, G20 should focus on women's voice. We should bring more awareness and we need to give more power to women's empowerment. Somehow we need to do something and showcase what we are doing, not just talking or making policies, but also showcasing products that we have been doing. As an artist, this has also been my lifelong journey to bring folk art, Indian folk art, in the forefront in the international platform. So I have a couple of paintings which again I brought with me. Like in this painting, I don't know if you can see. It's a bit. So I tried to bring the Madhubani art form in a contemporary setting. So in my painting, you can go to my website, brindarika.art, anytime and go and have a look. I brought Draupadi, Sita, and Radha in a coffee table. And they're discussing what happened to them in their lives, and it's a contemporary setting. I have Sita in a different setting. I don't have all the paintings here. Durga, Varsha, I had this PowerPoint I was just mentioning, but I think it's better I don't share it right now. We can have a look anytime. So it's so important to revisit our Indian mythology. We have such rich mythological stories. We have such rich text, ancient text, and to revisit our stories in Upanishads, Vedas, and bring them in the contemporary platform to showcase that also to G20, how rich our culture is. So this is also a time where during the G20 meetings under the culture forums and also under the women forums. So I would really be interested, like Dr. Roy mentioned, if we could have more talks or more collaborations, or if any one of us would like to participate in the W20 and these cultural forums. I think it's very important. There's one more organization I would like to mention here, and I feel that just practicing ourselves art or fine arts and writing is not enough. It is very important to share the skill with the underprivileged. And here I would like to mention Robin Hood's Academy. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. I am also a volunteer with the Robin Hood's Academy, and I teach them online art to street children in Ranchi, which is also a part of Jharkhand. It's the capital of Jharkhand. So there we have a team of Mr. Dr. Roy was mentioning that it is very important that we have the millennials. And it's these millennials who are actually conducting these weekly classes every Saturday, Sunday. So instead of going to the malls, these young children, our youth, they are going to the streets, they are going to the villages, and they are bringing all these poor kids, all these underprivileged, I wouldn't say poor, underprivileged kids to a platform like a Moni Mela concept, and they are teaching. So I always feel, what can I do, to bring a change? What can I do? And my part is, even if I'm miles apart, I just connect with them. Digitalization has enabled so many things. I teach them art through that, and this has been going on for the last 2 years almost. And I also teach the Ukrainian refugees here. So it's so important that we not only share our knowledge and skill with those who are in our platform, but also to those who are far away from, getting access to these resources. So I wouldn't take too much of time, but that's my point, that it's very important to be the change, and each of us should try to participate in G20. I also work for an international association, and in fact, we have a global conference going on, which is happening in New Delhi in September. I work for the International Association for Bridge and Structural Engineering, and we will be coming to September also for a conference. So we will see how we can integrate G20 as well in this. And yeah, thank you very much once again for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thanks.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So before I move to Dr. Debashish Roy, I would like to welcome Mr. Abhishek Jamwar, who is the founder of Obeya Underpinning LLP. Welcome to the session, sir. So now coming to Mr. Debashish Roy, please enlighten us with your
Thank
thoughts
you.
and views on the topic today.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is really a great forum. I was just hearing when Mr. Harris, Dr. Roy, and Brindarika Bush talked about so many different things, right? It started from like women empowerment, climate challenges, geopolitical situations, what's going on right now. So this is right, definitely an interesting time. That's where like India is heading towards this G20 presidency. So just a little bit about me. My name is Dr. Deb Roy. I'm joining in from USA, California. So this is kind of midnight here, 12 a.m. But I was really excited to hear from all these experts about G20 because I'm following, even I'm here in USA, but I'm following Indian politics day and night and seeing what's going on. So it's really excited time for us, all of us. But if I look at in a very broad level, like what's going on here, I think this is mainly three major themes coming out of it, right? We are in a, Dr. Sudipta Roy said, we are in a post-pandemic era, right? We are going through a like economic crisis, right? And people are talking about recession, whether it will, it's last 1 year we're hearing recession is coming. It will come, but when it will come, we are not sure. But this is really interesting time of economic challenges what our overall planet is facing. Then second aspect of it is like geopolitical conflict. Mr. Harris talked about it a lot, right? This is a lot of global politics are happening. Different coalitions are getting formed. Different conflicts are coming out. So this is again another dimension to it. And the third and most important dimension, which is really close to my heart, I work in the energy industry, technology space, utility sector, the climate challenges and the clean energy transition. How do we bring clean and sustainable energy to the global population? That is also the third challenges our planet is kind of facing towards. So by thinking about these three things, I feel like with this G20 presidency, India can contribute or India can influence a lot of these actions, a lot of these outcomes, right? India is not now a kind of a third world country. India is getting like a front and center seat in this global politics, and with this, it has a lot of power in controlling the trade policies. How do we bring like um, how do we bring like a global trade fairness? How do we communicate with other conflicting states? What we are seeing in our Western Front. How do we influence those conflicting situations? How do we kind of deal with the major powers, NATO and other major powers? How do we create coalition, or how do we also maintain our neutral standpoint, right? So that's where in this global forum will also play a bigger role. And then energy transition wise, this is also very important. We a lot of time we take energy for granted because it's such a basic necessity, but you will not believe like there is a term called energy poverty. There are people, billions of people in this world that they still don't have clean energy. They not about clean energy, they don't have even basic access to the energy. Now we are talking about the moving towards the clean energy. Now the challenge what these people are seeing here, like we have to generate more energy, but also other hand we have to generate clean energy, right? This is a kind of a dimension, two-dimensional things are coming here. So people are talking about building microgrids, building the areas, sub-Saharan areas, like where it's hard to provide electricity access in the African region or in even remotest part of India? How can we build the new generation infrastructure like microgrid, where we can generate power in a localized settings? We can utilize a lot of latest technologies like AI, machine learning, to control the power grid, and also making sure that power is getting generated and distributed in an equitable manner. So equitable access to the power is very important, as like equitable access to data, equitable access to technology. So all these things are also kind of coming into the forefront, and I'm really glad when I was hearing our prime minister was talking about this clean and sustainable energy is one of the biggest kind of topic he's focusing on. If you look at US, what is happening, Biden administration has announced a massive infrastructure package here. They are talking about like revamping the whole US infrastructure, modernizing the grid infrastructure, building more clean energy sources, investing on solar energies. There are challenges. What I am seeing right now in my place in California, they are talking about like implementing net energy metering kind of solution, where the consumers of electricity, traditional consumers of electricity, is not going to be only consumer, they will convert into a prosumer. You have solar panel in your home, that means you are producing energy, you can also contribute to the grid, and it's a two-way interaction. If you have excess energy, you can contribute to the grid. When you don't have energy, you can take the energy from the grid, and also you can have a mini power station in your home with a battery infrastructure. You can store your energy as well, right? So this moving from consumer to prosumer, this is also very important. I think the Western countries are really ahead of the game, but India also need to catch up. India needs to invest in the solar energy, clean energy, and making sure that all our people have equitable access to the clean energy. And with this G20, all the technology collaboration, with all this geopolitical collaboration, and moving aside all our conflicts, right? I think all these countries can come to one single forum, and they can work towards these SDG goals. I think Mr. Sudipta Roy and Ms. Bina was also talking about like a lot of this SDG thing kind of dripped backwards, right? It was for center of before pandemic, SDG was really taking the center stage. But right now, with all this situation, macroeconomic situation and everything, that took a little bit of backseat. But I think this is the right time that all these SDG goals need to be put forward, and it needs to be the one and only kind of focus thing for all the global leaders. And I think Prime Minister Narendra Modi can play and will play a like really strong role there. So with that, I'll hand it over to Ms. Basha.
Thank you so very much, sir. So now coming to Mr. Sandeep Dinodia, I request you to please put forward your thoughts and views.
Thanks, Varsha. Thanks, Harish, for having me here. I think most of the part is being covered, but I would say that there are multiple part of it. Definitely the social angle, definitely the way we are moving. I would say the next 10 year for us, and we all know. Reason being, first is definitely for geopolitical. Second is the way we are moving, and we are the largest, the populated country. It means the power what we have. I think many country doesn't have. Second is definitely the technological revolution, which is I think the great, because we all know the where the startup ecosystem is moving from 2010 onwards. I think there is a paradigm shift, and we all know we have about 100 plus unicorns, and definitely we are going. We have the I think Sudipta talk about the brain drain. So mostly the brainy people start shifting from Bay Area to India, and I have personally seen because I have belonged to this fraternity. Also, like there are many things which we are able to and build it here in India. I can talk about, let's say, beat logistic, and it's like government supports is tremendous there in last 8 to 10 years. I can talk about beat ULIP, beat logistic policy, NLP, beat freight corridors. And we all know, right, we are traveling in India, like one place to another, beat expressways, highways, where the distance being cut by half or 75%. Now we talk about the ports, we talk about the different airports, we talk about the lot of development is being happening. So I think this is the great times where we are thinking like, executing and then going. So this G20 presidency definitely bring and give attention to all of the worlds, and where we are moving around the 5 trillion economy. So our SMBs or definitely our LTs need to play a larger role, because they are the playing important key differences in India. So how do we support them from the social differences which Veena was talking about, and Brinda as well? And I think Sudipta was mentioning where each and every forum where we were talking about, and I think I've been associated with SOCHM, since longer. So I think there are a lot of program I can talk about which is going in each state. I think, and then talking about a lot of SMA, MSMEs, SMBs. I think it's complete strengthen where we are having a lot of program which we are empowering them from the different forum. So I think these points, and talk about, let's say, the what we have built for the world, like independent in the payment system, which is UPI, we all know, right, which is being built and PCI. We talk about ONDC, where we talk about e-commerce democratization, like and these things are pretty empowering to all the MSMEs, SMBs. So I think these will give the real power to India in terms of definitely boost the economy. Second, we talk about the, let's say, the climate angle, because strategically we are at good place because we don't have snow, and I think we all know where we can operate in 12 month even, and this is bingo, and we have all the manpower. So if we will convert or empower into, let's say, in some kind of manufacturing hub, or let's say we export it, I think we will really do well, and we will become number one. And that is the key that I can personally see that has to drive with the technology, definitely with the government support, and I think it is going in the right direction, what I feel. Also at the same time, empowering with the social means, because if we'll move fast and we are not empowering, then there will be disbalance, I truly believe. So I think we need to take those aspect in mind. uh, Third is definitely, I would little emphasize on terrorism, because if G20, because we have definitely our borders being disturbed at certainly on two areas. I would say this can be combat with these foreign policies, and then also with the help of other countries. At the same time, we can embark our soft political agendas and policies as well. So I think these things will be helpful in this G20 presidency for us. And I'll be keep always talk about that, how we are moving, and world is watching us. And I think 10 years is for us only, and I think we're gonna rock in this. So this is my view about this.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Sandeep. So, before I request Mr. Abhishek to put forward his thoughts and views, I request everyone to be there on screen as well with us and hold for a few more minutes. So, now coming to you, Mr. Abhishek, I hope you are there with us. Hello. Are you there, sir? Mr. Abhishek? I don't think so. He's there with us. And Darika ma'am, if you want to show some PDFs of you or some presentations of you, most welcome, please.
Here you have a painting where
Yes,
I'm
Sita
showing.
Draupadi.
Yeah, so this
Wow.
one is folk art. I'm bringing in folk art, and these are the paintings that I showcase also in my Swiss exhibitions here. So here is Durga passing on her knowledge to Saraswati and to Loki, and Loki is sitting here. And the painting which I mentioned about the coffee table chat with
Oh, I love
Draupadi.
this.
Draupadi, she has her hair open and she's talking about all her experiences and what she would like to have. And in her hand, she's holding a bag full of blood. Now, I can't explain this to everyone, but those who know the story, of course. Here is Sita with her half burnt face, sitting and questioning the society, what was right and what was wrong. And here we have Radha, who is still moonstruck and trying to think of Krishna. And in the background, I have Loki. So I painted this during the Lakshmi Puja, the Kojagari Lakshmi Puja. And
Linda, these
so
are so lovely.
thank you so much. So there are many paintings. I mean, you can always go online and have a look. But it's so important to bring these mythological characters. I mean, in Upanishads, Vedas, once you start reading, There are so many plots which you can transfer to your paper and also tell the stories, because storytelling is an important factor nowadays for every brand. Also, I'm sure you will agree, for corporate world as well as for societal values and so on. And as I mentioned, it's so important that during this G20, we showcase what we have. It's not only making plans for the future, but we already have so many good organizations, so many good ecosystems that are working. So we need to bring that up as a case study too, and showcase that look, this is working, and we need more collaboration. We need to empower the micro managers, not just the top bosses, so to speak, and spotlight also the gendered experience through our stories and art. I think. Thank you, Varsha, for giving me the time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And it was lovely seeing your paintings, I must say.
My
So
pleasure.
thank you all for attending, today's webinar. Yeah, I had a great time listening to you all, and I hope that you all did too. So hope
Yes.
to see you all soon in person as well, and in some other topics of ours as well in near future. So thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.